Hey, Rob Brinded here. I'm going to be talking about a discovery I've made in my work, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done a video for so long. It's just because I've been working on the fine-tuning this method, and I want to talk about it today. Why would you want to watch this is because if you understand this framework, it's going to help you to reach your potential in this life. It was going to be able to help you understand why you suffer, why you might have sabotaging behavior. Everything about you can learn from using this technique. And for me, it's the most valuable thing I've ever found. And when I work with my clients on this, they say, oh my God, in 1 hour, you've told me more about myself. You've literally, if I'm using a whiteboard, I've described them in their life, exactly everything, the reasons why they've done everything in 1 hour. I now use an iPad, a little bit more techie, to draw out what I'm going to show you. And by the end of it, the client is like, holy shit, I've spent so much time and effort trying to understand myself, not understanding, and getting more and more frustrated and going through these cycles like a hamster wheel. So I'm going to be talking more today about this. So if you find that interesting, you're going to want to maybe take notes. You can always watch the video again. So I've been offline. I haven't been excuse me. I haven't been doing YouTube videos for a while because I've been in meat space working on myself and perfecting this methodology, working with my clients. So I've stepped away from educating. I've also been writing a book for the last year. I finished that and now working on the editing with a really good editor. So that should take about 3 months from now, and then I'll have my book ready. And the book is there to help you to use what I've learned over 30 years to find out why you do certain things, all the negative things you do, why you get triggered, why you behave in a negative way, or you're not reaching your potential. It will be explained in the book. And I'm going to try and explain that as much as I can today as well. So I had 3 clients recently who booked in with me to work on themselves, and they came in through YouTube, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I probably better start posting again on here. So thanks for being so patient. It's been over a year since I posted, maybe more. So what I've discovered, well, I don't want to talk too much about how I came about it, but needless to say, I've spent my whole life looking for results with my clients and with myself on how to clear pain in my body, or how to change myself so that for me personally, why I was so anxious, lacking in confidence, why I had certain behaviors that I kept doing and that were not helping me, and constantly thinking I needed to be doing more, I needed to work more. I was never satisfied. That type of mental hamster wheel that was just never fulfilled, and even when everything was going perfectly, I never felt happy, or I was worrying about something. So it was that was my internal drive to work this out, is results orientated. So I first of all started with an energy 1 and 0 methodology, a bit like helping people, if their computer, let's say you are a computer, people would come to me and go, this is going wrong, or this is slow, this is glitchy. And I'd be able to go onto their computer and close web browsers, empty trash, and get their computer working well. So what I was able to do for myself and my clients was, if I had any pain in my body, be able to dissolve it, to work out what was going on with my organs. If I had any negative thoughts or emotions and stuff, I'd be able to resolve it and delete them on the spot. I got really good at that. And so people would come to me, all sorts of things, skin problems, any type of pain, diseases, tumors, you name it, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, etc., etc. And I'd be able to work on that. One of the things, though, that I found that was that it didn't work with was changing sort of very deep behavior. So let's say I had an addict who would come to me. I could get initial changes quite well, but their behavior would come back. I remember I had this CEO of a very big company in America, and he was very logical, but he had this behavior where he would get extremely angry with people. Like he was known for losing his temper. He had a real anger problem. And when I worked with him, I couldn't get him to change that deep behavior. So I knew it was something deep, because it would resurface after a while of strengthening sort of some of the weaknesses around it. And also with myself, there was behaviors that I couldn't change. So as I've told you, some of the, anxiety, worries, sabotaging behavior, working too much or not working enough, always trying to achieve, be valuable in other people's eyes, people pleasing. These type of background behaviors, it was like I was a puppet being, with strings attached, showing me, I was on strings. Like there's nothing I could do about it. It was just, once I'd done it, I go, oh, there's that behavior again. So I really, it was a couple of years ago now, I just sat down and go, what is going on? I need to find out the cause of this. Why can't I change myself with this energy work? And I saw a lot of like very good energy people that I worked on. They had these deep behaviors they couldn't change either. So it was when I wrote my first book, I went away for 10 days in a cabin in Germany in the countryside. And it was a really tough, alone time for where I started to really like just sit, be quiet and watch my behavior. I also was kind of asking, I need some guidance here. I'm not sure 100%. There's something I'm missing with my work. And I found a source of information that it triggered something in me, kind of woke something up. And then I realized, okay, I've got sort of the beginning framework of something that could change this behavior. So I started watching, and one of the things I'm good at is pattern recognition. I can really see things very quickly. It's kind of the only things that I'm good at is seeing patterns. But hey, we all have our things, right? And I started to see a pattern in my behavior. And at first I was like, it seems like it's like on a cycle. Like here's that thought again. It comes up and then I go, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, I need to do that. I don't want to do that. And I started to see the more I watched, the more I saw. Then with my clients, I started to, instead of just doing strengthening work on them, I started to ask some questions like, so what are you working on in this session? What would you like to achieve? Why? And then I started drawing it on my whiteboard. And it was, I remember the first session, the client said, yeah, I want to gain more confidence. I want to gain more money. But I keep losing confidence. And I was like, gain, loss. And then I kept on hearing gain, loss in the session with them. So I drew it out and I drew a circle in between. So this was the building of this framework in there. Each client I was working with and my own, it showed me there's a framework to the way the mind works. Number one, there's always two opposite words. And the more I watched with my clients, each 10 clients, I was keep going, oh yeah, there's a pattern here. This is gain and loss. That was, I think, my first wheel. And then I was working with a client and they said, oh, it's like a hamster wheel. And then I drew them as a hamster. Didn't look like a hamster. But I was like, shit, yeah, it's working like a hamster. And you're running up. You keep running up and then you keep getting exhausted and rolling back down. Or I had clients who were always full blast trying to gain, and then they would flip over and sabotage, or they would pull something in that gave them great loss. So I started to separate out these clients, like the left-hand dwellers on this hamster wheel and the right-sided dwellers on this hamster wheel. So it was becoming more and more sophisticated, the model. So what I wanted to do with my clients is go, okay, I'm going to test it on everyone and see if it works. And it was, when I drew it out, and it was, so let's say they were talking about loss, gain and loss, and I drew out everything, and they were like, oh my God, that is me. You've explained me better in 1 hour, better than anyone's ever explained me, better than I understand myself. And so it started to become more sophisticated. Then I started to see 4 other patterns. You remember the 2 different words. So there was gain, loss, and then I saw right and wrong. So on the right is right and wrong. So I started to see people on the right always needed to be right and didn't like to be wrong, didn't like things going wrong. So that's where they like to be. Those type of people I had to be careful with, because if I told them something about their behavior that was going wrong, they didn't like it, got defensive. Yeah. On the left, if you're on the left and you watching, you're either going to be on the right or on the left. If you're on the left, you actually believe there's something wrong with you all the time, but you spend all your time trying to be right, doing right by others, supporting others. So you're either there or there. When you start to see this in yourself, this is going to be a roadmap for the rest of your life. So we got right and wrong. I told you gain and loss, gain on the right. Then we have support and letdown. So people on the left support everyone else except themselves. People on the right support themselves. And the letdown. So support, when you support somebody, if you don't support them, you kind of let them down. You can play a little bit with the different terminology, but the same. It's like people were coming to me and go, yeah, I in this relationship, I just keep getting let down. I try and support everyone, but people keep letting me down. I started to see a pattern in this problem that people were coming to me. So it's an inevitability. So when this program is running, you're gonna, if you're on the right, you're gonna support yourself, but you're gonna get let down, or you let yourself down. When you're on the left, you get let down by others. Then we have unable and able. A lot of clients were coming to me, and I started to see this one particular hamster wheel, able and unable. So you're either on the right, you have to be able all the time. You don't like people who are unable, but if you're on the right, you're gonna have vices usually. So, alcohol, porn, drugs, sex, Netflix, you name it, that because you can't keep in this, it's a prison, this hamster wheel, it's exhausting, right? You can't get off it, right? Then you go and get a bit of freedom from your vice. The people on the left, they spend all their time feeling unable. They want to be able. They try and be able, and they will go back to where they are. Okay, able and unable. And there's one more: paying attention to and ignore. I think I've said 5 now. Paying attention to, ignore. So I get people say, yeah, I can't do my business. I can't pay attention to it. I keep ignoring it. Or my husband keeps ignoring me. I try and pay him attention. But there's no, a woman could be on the right, which is more yang dominant, or she can be on the left. It's not really to do with the sexes. It's just, it's the programming, it's your conditioning. So we have 5 hamster wheels. Why 5? I don't know. I've been observing this constantly, all day, every day, looking for patterns, working with clients every day, hours and hours working with clients or myself, and seeing these patterns, and I've got 5. Now, I started to ask why do we have these hamster wheels? And clients are saying, why do I have this? Why am I set up this way? And So it comes down to the initial, when we're born, and I draw a little circle, and Gabor Mate sort of gave me this information or influenced me on this initial trauma of childhood. So I think when we're born, there's that initial disconnect. So it's a 1 and a 0. You either have full love, connection, belonging, which I put up in the top right-hand corner, because I haven't had one single client, or I don't know one single person who had full love, connection, belonging. They get a disconnect, yeah, so what happens then in childhood, and you don't need to go back into childhood to understand this, but if you draw a big T there, that's trauma. It's that child needs that connection, love, belonging, connection, and no one gets it because of the way the West has gone, and even I work with people from the East, and they're still as disconnected. So there's just the way, fear. The fiat world has made us work more and more. There's more and more disconnect. There's social media disconnect. People can't afford to pay anything, so that both parents are working. So that, I'm not going to go too much into that disconnect, but it happens, right? There's that disconnect. The parents do the best they can, but they didn't get that full connection. So let's say there's a 1 and a 0 there. You got a 0. So as a baby, that's perceived as abandonment. And you might go, oh, that's a bit of exaggeration, but when a baby doesn't get full connection, they perceive it as a threat and it's abandonment. And then when I'm drawing this out, I will then say, if you're abandoned, you're worthless. Like, can you see? It's like very basic, because a child doesn't understand the complexities of human nature. So if you're abandoned, you're kind of worthless. If someone doesn't pay you attention, you're not worth it. Worthless. So there's the initial primer and the juice or the fuel for the hamster wheels, the behaviors, the programs that run deep on your operating system. And so you choose, don't really, but it just happens that way, that you either go to the right, where you spend all your time trying to be able, gaining, being right, paying attention to what's valuable, and supporting yourself. You go there to be valuable, because being valuable is the opposite of worthless, but it's not love. You have to always try and be valuable, because the fuel is your worthlessness. So people on the right, they're always fearing failure, failing to be valuable, failing to be the center of attention. They hate being unable. This left-hand side is their kryptonite, but the nature of the hamster wheel is you always flip back. You can't keep going forever, and that's what I see with my clients. They flip back hard. If you're on the left, so as a child you go to the left, you feel worthless, you feel unable, you feel there's something wrong with you, you feel like you're let down, you're wrong, those type of things. So you spend all your time trying to support others, being as valuable as you can, trying to be right. So trying, but you come back there where you're safe. So for the right-hand siders, that's dangerous. For the left-hand siders, that's safe. So if we logically then move forward and say, actually, for left-hand siders, being all those things, valuable, achieving, lovable, that's dangerous. We're all, really these hamster wheels being driven by your unmet needs of love, belonging, connection. So the next best thing you can try and get is being valuable. If you look David Beckham's documentary on Netflix, or Sylvester Stallone, especially Sylvester Stallone's, he talks about, I spent my whole life trying to be valuable for my audience, to gain their love, only to realize that it was an illusion, and the love was always there in front of me with my family. That's a classic right-hand sider. So left and right, there's no right or wrong, but we're here to understand that we're trapped in these 5 thought behaviors from a child that created them. That was amazing that they created them, because it was they were in really not a good place, the child, my inner child, your inner child. And so we created these programs to be able to survive. However, when I work with a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, I work with 70 and 80-year-olds who realize, they go, shit, I'm not happy. I've gained all these millions, billions, and have all these houses, but I feel completely worthless. So I've seen it both sides. I've spent my whole, like lefty, spent my whole life trying to be able, and just constantly feel unable and not good enough. And you get to like 50, 60, 70 years old and you go, holy shit, when am I going to stop this? So these are prisons. And you have, I'm going to sort of tie it all up now. You have a few ways to deal with this. This deep operating system work that makes you suffer, that limits you, that it controls you. These control everyone. Yeah. Most people won't do what I'm going to say now, by the way. If you're watching this, let's say 1,000 people watch this. I don't know. I'm not sure how many are going to do this because it's hard. But I'm not bullshitting you. You can go and follow someone else or follow a religion or spiritual guru or somewhere, but there's no escape by following others. Here, this work is about being your own authority. So you could do these things. You can continue doing the same thing, which is what most people do. They'll go and distract themselves through things, but when the pain of continuing to distract yourself outweighs, the distraction, then you're going to come back in. There's two ways you go. You can go back into the matrix, the hamster wheel, or you go inside. So you can continue, but you've been doing it long enough, so you're here for a reason. You can chase freedom. Chasing the dragon, chasing freedom is, vices, drugs, alcohol, marijuana, movies, fantasizing, anything to escape from your mind. Fantasizing about, I'm going to just imagine when I do that. That is an escape from this brutality of the workhorse of the hamster wheel. So you can go out there, but guess what? When you come back in, guess what you feel? The other side of the hamster wheel. So there's no escape. The third one is it's why people commit suicide, think about suicide, is to get out of these hamster wheels. But that just destroys communities and families. So I'm going to show you a way that is sustainable, and it will change you and give you the most wonderful, valuable gift you can ever give yourself, which is love, connection, belonging. So you have to, if you have a habit, you have to see it first. So these 5 hamster wheels are a framework to see habits of thought. The habits trick you and make you think it's real. So if you imagine the hamster wheel and you're to the side of it, I talk about this in my first book, Decentralizing Your Mind. You observe the behavior, the habit, and see everything you can about it. And in seeing it again and again, that dissolves the habit. For instance, one time someone said to me, hey Rob, when you drink your tea, you have your finger out, like very British. And I didn't realize, and people were laughing at me. And I remember looking at it going, oh, so I do. And then I didn't immediately just go, Chum, because it was a habit. But the more I saw it, the more I became aware of it. It just on its own, it stopped doing it. Yeah, that's how habits work. So the way I like to do it is you observe. If you're very logical, it's just you observe your behavior and you don't try and jump in. So let's say you go away now, I'm going to do this, I'm going to gain control over my mind. That is the hamster wheel. Yeah, this is the next level. So if you're on the right and you feel you've hit a glass ceiling, this is the next level. But you can't use your behaviors to get there. If you're on the left, this is going to be your chance to watch your victim side, your victimhood, And I'm on the left, right? I'm not meaning that in a derogatory way, but it's a victim mentality. It's a non-doing, and you just end up missing out on life. So you observe the behavior, you don't go into it, you just watch it. You go, oh, there's the behavior. You can call it a song, each one a song. You give it a name, because what I'm trying to explain to you here is you have to see the behavior of your mind. A physical behavior is easy to see. The mind is inside. It tricks you. So you can call it a song, like, oh, you're right, I'm wrong, or I'm always wrong, whatever. Just something to anchor it so you can see it. There's also one that I really like to do with a lot of my clients is understanding that the behavior that you're experiencing. So let's say right now I'm thinking about this video, I'm like, fuck, this is shit. Oh no, what if it's a real letdown? People think this is boring, letdown. I immediately go, I know that hamster wheel, and I go to the person who created the behavior, which is me, little me. So I pick up little Rob and go, hey, it's okay, because it's his behavior. It's just an echo of his trauma. So I pick him up and I just go, it's okay, and you'll find that it will dissolve the behavior. So I've given you just observing. You could call it a song, you could pick up. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do, you individually, is to regain sovereignty over yourself. You don't need me, you don't need anyone else. You could book a session with me, I could go through your hamster wheel, because I've spent many decades doing this kind of work, so I can quickly show you what to look at. But I didn't do that. So you can just observe your behavior. You'll have times where you'll think, oh, I can't do this, I'm doing it wrong. That's the behavior, hamster wheel, right? It's the trickster. So I'll finish there. You can draw it out as well. Remember, this is the most valuable, important work you could ever do. This is what I spend the rest of my life doing, is helping people understand this behavior. Why? Because it was ruining me. It ruined my life. I was always suffering, too sensitive, no confidence, anxiety the whole time, depressed, not thinking I was able to do anything. And through this, I have seen my behaviors, and it brings the other side into balance. So I'm not perfect, but anyone who says they are, like that they've resolved everything, is in denial. This is a balancing act. It's a constant working and understanding the self more. The moment you go, I've made it, that's your mind trapping you. When you're free, you're present, fully present, that's all. When you're fully present, there's no suffering, and you're completely connected with life, and your energy explodes. But it's not something you can grasp hold of. That is the mind that will try and do that. That's why you got, spiritual gurus that say, life is like holding a bar of soap. You grab it too tight and it slips away. I don't know if anyone ever said that, but that would be a good analogy. So what I'd like you to do now is, if you found this useful, share it, please. It's something I've been really bad at doing, is asking you to share or like, or share with others who you think this would be important for. That was my own behavior, but I've seen it now. So if this is valuable, I need to get it shared, and it is. I'd love to hear any comments about the video. If you have any questions that you'd like me to go into in a video, I will do that. That's great. It'll give me stuff to put out there so I can help other people. I think this is the most important work to put out in the world right now, because everyone is disconnected, and mental health and unhappiness and lack of fulfillment is everywhere, in everyone. And we all think that by being an influencer or a short-term fame is going to help you, but it doesn't. It's brutal. It's a distraction. The whole social media system is built on distraction, so it just reinforces the mind's ability to control you. So let's, if we want to change the world, we have to change ourselves. And so, I would highly recommend you start doing this work. I know that I want to make the world a better place for myself and my kids, so I work on myself. I don't reinforce the system that's already there by shouting at it. It's by putting out really valuable work where things can change. So please like and subscribe, and any questions, pop them down below. And thanks so much for putting your attention onto this, and talk to you all soon. Cheers.